Good morning, viewers. Why window glasses lose their sharpness after a long time? Why diamond is hard? What are anisotropic substances? To answer these questions, we have to learn a topic called classification of solids. So today's topic is classification of solids.
Classification of solids. Solids are broadly classified into two types, amorphous and crystalline. Let us see about amorphous solids. There is no regular arrangement of particles in amorphous solids. Because of this irregular arrangement of particles, there is no definite geometry or shape for these solids. Their properties lie in between liquids and true solids. So that is why they are called as pseudo-solids. They have steady flowing nature. Like for example, if you take glass, you can observe the window glass panes becoming blunt at the bottom after a long time. This happens because of steady flowing nature of glass material. So that is why these solids are also called as supercooled liquids. There is no regular arrangement of particles, but there is orderly arrangement of particles in small portions here and there. So orderly arrangement is limited to a small region. So they have short range order. They don't have a sharp melting point. For example, if you heat plastic, it becomes soft before melting or getting it converted into a liquid. So they melt over a range of temperature. So there is no sharp melting point here. And even there is no definite enthalpy of fusion. Enthalpy of fusion is the amount of heat required to convert 1 mole of solid into liquid state. And if you cut amorphous solids with the help of a sharp object, they'll give small pieces with rough surfaces. So cleavage of these solids will give small pieces with rough surfaces. These are isotropic. That means in whatever the direction you measure the physical property, the values of physical properties remain same. This kind of solids are known as isotropic solids. The examples for amorphous solids are glass, plastic, wax, coal. Now let us see the next type of solids, crystalline solids. So here there is a regular arrangement of particles. So there is a definite geometry or shape, and these are considered as true solids. The orderly arrangement of particles continues throughout the solid. So that is why they have long range order. They have sharp melting point. Like if you consider metals like iron or ionic substances like sodium chloride, they have a definite melting point. They'll melt at that particular temperature. Because of the sharp melting point, they have definite enthalpy of fusion. And if you cut these solids with the help of a sharp object, or a knife, they'll give small pieces with smooth surfaces. So cleavage of these solids will give smooth surface pieces, and these are anisotropic solids. The values of physical properties are different when they are measured in different directions. If you see the second diagram, there are two axes here. The arrangement of particles is not same along with these two axes. If you consider AB, the particle arrangement is different from that of the second axis, that is CD. So if you measure the physical properties along with this axis, you will not get the same values, and this type of solids are known as anisotropic solids. The examples for crystalline solids are diamond, gold, ice, and ionic solids like sodium chloride. Now let us see the differences between amorphous and crystalline solids. In amorphous solids, there is no regular arrangement of particles, whereas in crystalline solids, there is regular arrangement of particles. Amorphous solids have no definite geometry or shape, whereas crystalline solids have definite geometry or shape. Amorphous solids are pseudo-solids, whereas crystalline solids are true solids. Amorphous solids have short range order, whereas crystalline solids have long range order. In case of amorphous solids, there is a range of melting point. In case of crystalline solids, there is a sharp value for melting point. In case of amorphous solids, cleavage gives rough surfaces. In case of crystalline solids, cleavage gives smooth surface. Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. That is, they have the same values of physical properties when the physical properties are measured in different directions, whereas crystalline solids are anisotropic. They have different values of physical properties when the physical properties are measured in different directions. Now we will see the types of crystalline solids. There are four types of crystalline solids: ionic, metallic, covalent, and molecular. Now we will see the various aspects of these solids. Ionic solids. In ionic solids, oppositely charged ions are present. Like if you take sodium chloride, Na plus and Cl minus ions are present. In zinc sulfide, Zn plus 2 and S2 minus ions are present. These ions are held by strong electrostatic forces of attraction or ionic bonds. These solids are hard, but they are brittle. Suppose if you beat an ionic solid with a rock, it breaks into small pieces or it crumbles into powder. They have very high melting points because there are strong attractive forces between oppositely charged ions, and it is difficult to break those forces. Because of high melting points, they have very high enthalpy of fusion. These are poor conductors or insulators because The ions are held in their positions because of the strong electrostatic forces of attraction. As they are bound strongly, they become immobile and hence they act as insulators. But they act as good conductors in liquid state or in aqueous solution because of liberation of ions. Metallic solids. Metallic solids contain metal atoms, but these metal atoms readily lose the electrons in the valence shell. So these valence electrons move freely in the lattice spaces created by the metal atoms. Once metal atoms lose the electrons, they will become positive. So metallic solids actually contain positively charged ions and sea of electrons or pool of electrons. Once metal atoms lose the electrons, they form metallic ions or metallic kernels which are positively charged, and the electrons form a pool or sea. So there is an attractive force between positively charged ions and pool of electrons, and this attractive force is called as metallic bonding. Metallic solids are hard but malleable and ductile. Malleable. They can be drawn into sheets. Ductile. They can be drawn into wires. For example, if you take a metal piece and beat it with a hammer, it spreads like a sheet, and this property is called malleability. Similarly, you can draw very thin wires like copper and gold. You can make very thin wires, and this property is called ductility. Metallic solids have fairly high melting points. They are not very high, but they are fairly high. Because of fairly high melting points, they have moderate enthalpy of fusion. And metallic solids are good conductors because of the presence of free electrons or delocalized electrons. The examples for metallic solids are iron, copper, silver and gold. Covalent solids. Covalent solids contain atoms or network of atoms. Because atoms are held by strong covalent bonds, so that is why a network of atoms will be there. So here there are strong covalent bonds between the atoms, and because of the strong covalent bonds they are hard and they have high melting points because it is difficult to break the covalent bonds here. So high energy is required to break the attractive forces or covalent bonds, so that is why they have high melting points. Because of high melting points, they have high enthalpy of fusion. And as the electrons are involved in bond formation and no free electrons left here, they act as insulators. The examples are silicon carbide, aluminum nitride, quartz, diamond and graphite. Graphite is soft whereas diamond is hard. In case of diamond, there is a network of carbon atoms, and these carbon atoms are held by strong covalent bonds. And to cut through this network of bonds, it is very difficult or high energy is required. So that is why diamond is hard. Whereas in case of graphite, there is a layer like structure. These layers are held by weak van der Waals forces of attraction. So that is why it becomes easier to cut through these layers. So graphite is soft. Covalent solids are normally insulators like diamond or silicon carbide. But graphite is an exception here because in graphite each carbon is linked to 3 other carbons. In this process it makes use of 3 valence electrons, and as you know the valency of carbon is 4. It makes use of only 3 valence electrons and the other electron is left free. So that is delocalized, and these electrons are responsible for electrical conductivity of graphite. Now let us see the next category of solids, molecular solids. Molecular solids contain molecules in which the atoms are held by covalent bonds, whereas the molecules are held by weak van der Waals forces or hydrogen bonds. Because of the weaker forces of attraction between molecules, these are generally soft. And it is easy to break the van der Waals forces of attraction, so that is why they have more low melting points. And because of low melting points, they have low enthalpy of fusion. Molecular solids are also insulators. Like if you take glucose, sugar or other molecular solids, they are insulators because there are no free electrons here or free ions. Neither free electrons nor free ions. So that is why they are insulators. The examples for molecular solids are carbon dioxide, argon, sulfur dioxide, ice. Argon is a noble gas and it exists in atomic state, but its properties are similar to non-polar molecules. So that is why even noble gases like argon and krypton belong to this category. Now let us see the comparison between the solids. Ionic solids contain oppositely charged ions, whereas metallic solids contain positively charged kernels or positive metal ions and electrons, delocalized electrons. Covalent solids contain a network of atoms where the atoms are held by covalent bonds. In case of molecular solids, molecules are present. In ionic solids, the ions are held by strong electrostatic forces or ionic bonds. In case of metals, metallic bond is present. In case of covalent solids, the atoms are held by covalent bonds. In molecular solids, the molecules are held by either van der Waals force or hydrogen bonds. Coming to the physical nature, ionic solids are hard but brittle, whereas metallic solids are hard but they are malleable and ductile. Covalent solids are hard, whereas molecular solids are generally soft because of the weaker attractive forces. Coming to the melting point, ionic solids have very high melting point, whereas metallic solids have a fairly high melting point. Covalent solids have high melting point, whereas molecular solids have low melting point. Enthalpy of fusion, that is the amount of heat required to convert 1 mole of solid into liquid. Enthalpy of fusion is very high in case of ionic solids and it is moderate in case of metallic solids, and it is high for covalent solids, whereas it is low for molecular solids. Electrical conductivity. Ionic solids are insulators in solid state, but they are conductors in fused state or in aqueous solution. Metallic solids are good conductors due to the presence of delocalized electrons. Covalent solids are insulators because of the absence of free electrons or ions. And even molecular solids are also insulators. Examples. For ionic solids, sodium chloride and zinc sulfide. For metallic solids, iron, copper, silver and gold. For covalent solids, silicon carbide, aluminum nitride, quartz, diamond. And molecular solids involve carbon dioxide, argon, sulfur dioxide and ice. Molecular solids are further classified as nonpolar, polar and hydrogen bonded. Let us see in detail about each solid. Nonpolar solids. Nonpolar solids contain nonpolar molecules. Nonpolar molecules do not have polarity or their resultant dipole moment is 0. Here the molecules are held by induced dipole forces or London forces. They are weakest forces in van der Waals forces, so that is why they exist as either gases or volatile liquids, and they have low melting points. For example, argon, hydrogen, carbon dioxide and carbon tetrachloride. So here in the diagram you can see there are weak London forces or intermolecular forces between molecules, whereas within the molecule they are held by strong covalent bonds. So intramolecular forces are strong, whereas intermolecular forces are weak. Polar solids. Polar solids contain polar molecules. So here the molecules have polarity or there is a resultant dipole moment. A polar molecule is formed by atoms with considerable electronegativity difference. So here polar molecule is also known as dipole. There is a charge separation within the molecule. That means there is partial positive as well as negative charge within the same molecule. So negative terminal of a dipole is attracted by positive terminal of another dipole as shown in the diagram. So these forces are known as dipole-dipole forces. So these forces are stronger when compared to London forces, but weaker when compared to hydrogen bond. Even these substances also exist as gases or liquids under normal conditions, but they can be solidified. So they have higher melting points when compared to non-polar solids, but lower melting points when compared to hydrogen bonded solids. Because as already I have told you, they have dipole-dipole forces which are stronger when compared to London forces. So that is why they have higher melting points when compared to non-polar solids. But their melting points are less when compared to hydrogen bonded solids, where the molecules are held by stronger forces of attraction. They are hydrogen bonds. So the examples here are sulfur dioxide and HCl. Hydrogen bonded solids. Here the constituent particles are polar molecules. Again, there is polarity in the molecule, or there is resultant dipole moment. And here the molecules are held by hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is the bond between partially positively charged hydrogen atom and partially negatively charged highly electronegative atom like oxygen, nitrogen and fluorine. So this hydrogen bond is stronger than dipole-dipole force. These substances exist as liquids or solids. They are supposed to exist as gases, but they exist as liquids or solids because of the presence of stronger attractive forces between molecules. They are hydrogen bonds. Because of the stronger attractive forces, they have high melting points. The examples for hydrogen bonded solids are water and hydrogen fluoride. In the diagram, the solid water is shown, that is ice, where the water molecules are held by hydrogen bonds. And you can see each water molecule is surrounded by 4 other water molecules. Let us compare the molecular solids. In nonpolar molecular solids, the constituent molecules are nonpolar molecules, whereas in polar molecular solids, there are polar molecules. In case of hydrogen bonded solids, the constituent molecules are polar molecules, but they are held by hydrogen bond. In case of nonpolar molecular solids, the intermolecular forces are London forces, whereas in polar molecular solids, the intermolecular forces are dipole-dipole forces. In hydrogen bonded solids, the molecules are held by hydrogen bond. Coming to the physical state, nonpolar molecular solids are either gases or liquids, whereas polar molecular solids are gases or liquids under normal conditions. Hydrogen bonded solids are either liquids or solids under normal conditions. Melting points. Nonpolar molecular solids are held by weakest forces or London forces, so they have low melting points. Polar molecular solids have higher melting points when compared to nonpolar molecular solids, but they have lesser melting points when compared to hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Because polar molecular solids have dipole-dipole forces which are stronger than London forces which are present in nonpolar molecular solids, but weaker than hydrogen bonds present in hydrogen bonded molecular solids. So their melting points lie in between nonpolar molecular solids and hydrogen bonded solids. So here hydrogen bonded solids have highest melting points among these solids because they are held by stronger hydrogen bonds. Now what is the order of melting point? It is non-polar molecular solids less than polar molecular solids less than hydrogen bonded molecular solids. Coming to the examples, argon, hydrogen, oxygen and CCl4 are the examples for non-polar molecular solids. SO2 and HCl are the examples for polar molecular solids. H2O and HF are the examples for hydrogen bonded molecular solids.
In the beginning of my lecture, I asked you some questions. So let us see the answers before we conclude this session. So the first question: why window glass loses its sharpness at the bottom after a long time? Because glass is amorphous substance or a pseudo solid. So it can be considered as a supercooled liquid. So there is a steady flow of this glass material so that the edges at the bottom lose their sharpness. Second question: why diamond is hard? Diamond is a covalent solid. There is a network of carbon atoms in diamond, and carbon-carbon bond is very strong, and to break through this network of bonds, it is very difficult. So diamond is hard. So the third question: what are anisotropic substances? They are the substances which have different properties in different directions. That means they have different properties for different values for physical properties in different directions. Like if you take crystalline solids, the physical properties like refractive index is different in different directions. So this type of solids are known as anisotropic solids. So these are the answers for my questions.